Today we're going to talk about the first step of implementing DataGrail Consent, connecting to Google Tag Manager. We'll also cover other integrations you may set up as part of your implementation. There are a few concepts we'll talk about often in this video. The first is Google Tag Manager, or GTM, which we already touched on in our last video. Next are containers. GTM uses containers to simplify the code on your website and allow you to manage and fire scripts, or tags, without needing to code them all separately. You probably have one container for every separate website your brand has. Before we proceed, let's check in and confirm you're ready. First, you'll need the right access in DataGrail. At minimum, the person who manages Google Tag Manager also needs to be able to edit, consent, and manage connections in DataGrail. Roles are managed in DataGrail Admin under Settings. You'll also need publish permissions in Google Tag Manager. From Google Tag Manager, open the Accounts tab and edit or add a new user with these permissions. If you leverage multiple containers, you'll need this permission for every container where you plan to use DataGrail Consent. Last, you can do this after you connect as well, but it's nice to review your existing tags before you start. All scripts should be managed as individual tags. Tag names will be shown to users, so make sure they each have simple and clear names. Let's get started. From DataGrail Admin, open Consent Management from the sidebar. Select Add Google Tag Manager. You can enter anything for the integration name. This will be displayed in DataGrail Admin's primary settings section. You must check the consent management box under Enabled Capabilities. You'll now authenticate through your single sign-on provider in the top right and allow the requested permissions. Return to DataGrail's Consent Management tab and click Add Containers. Select every container where you want to use DataGrail Consent and choose Manage Selected Containers. On the Tracking Services tab, you'll see all tags managed by Google Tag Manager organized by container. Filter the list to the category Uncategorized. For each of these services, check the left checkbox and click Assign Category. DataGrail provides the default categories Essential, Performance, Functional, and Marketing, but you can edit your categories from DataGrail Consent settings as needed. Every script should be tagged into a category in order to be properly managed via consent. Your tags will fall in one of these 3 to 4 categories. Essential tags mean that the site would not be usable without that script. For example, if I add something to my cart, went back to the site's homepage or to a related product, and then I found my cart empty, that site would be pretty unusable for me. Users don't need to be able to opt out of this type of script under any current regulation. Performance or analytics cookies collect user experience or behavior data and aggregate it, typically anonymizing that data. Depending on the regulation, users may need to be able to opt out of this type of script. Functional or functionality scripts add to the user experience, but not in strictly necessary ways. For example, it's nice if when I arrive on a site, it tells me I can jump back to where I left off reading, but that's not a strictly necessary user experience. These scripts are also limited to tracking behavior on the site itself. They don't share data or follow users around their visits to other websites. While some interpret functional scripts as part of the essential category, certain regulations are more strict and require users to be able to opt out of this type of cookie. Lastly, when most people think of cookies or tracking scripts, they're thinking of marketing, advertising, or sometimes just called tracking scripts. These are the scripts whose purpose is to display targeted ads for the user, often following users across their web activity and sharing data with other sites. Virtually any tracking consent regulation will require that users are able to opt out of this type of script usage. Once you finish working through your uncategorized services, review each of your other categories to ensure each tag is assigned to accurate categories. If they want to, users will be able to see which tags are included under each separate consent category, so you want to make sure there are no surprises. Your organization may also fire some scripts outside of GTM. For these scripts, you'll need to leverage our developer plugin Script Control if you're not able to move those scripts into GTM. Begin by clicking Add Service from the Tracking Services page. Each script deployed outside of GTM will need to be added as a separate service. Create memorable and easy to understand service names and vendors so that you can easily identify and manage the script later as needed. You'll also need to select a category for the script as we did with GTM tags, and identify the container source where the script is deployed. DataGrail Consent will now generate a script ID for the script. You'll need this ID to make a modification to your script. Remember that each ID is unique and these steps must be completed separately for each script run outside of GTM. While modifying your script, you'll need to set a type of text/plain and add the script ID that you took from DataGrail Consent as shown on this slide. Lastly, you might be wondering, what about the largest third parties your website is integrated with? If your website leverages Shopify, Webflow, Segment, or any other major third party that collects and actions on user data, you can integrate it with DataGrail to ensure that users who have opted out of tracking do not have their personal data sent to these third parties. For some services, we offer an in-house integration that is essentially plug and play over the rest of your implementation. You'll be able to add those integrations from the Integrations tab in DataGrail Consent. For any other system, your team can leverage callback scripts to prevent data from being sent when it shouldn't. You can read more about this approach on our knowledge base. From here, your next step will be to address the user-facing experience, including the styling and location-based behavior of your consent banner. Depending on how complex your branding and stylistic needs are, you might also leverage a test site as part of this work. From there, you'll test your site using our Privacy Inspector browser extension to ensure all consent choices are respected and no tags were missed. We'll cover each of these steps and more in future videos. Once everything is assembled to your satisfaction, you'll publish DataGrail Consent and launch.